If you could only eat one last meal before you died, what would it be? Death row inmate Ruben Cantu chose fried chicken and rice. This is Last Meal. We're going to adapt this fried chicken recipe from food genius J. Kenji Lopez Alt. A day ahead of time, we're going to start with the dredge. So combine a cup of flour, 3/4 of a cup of rice flour, a couple TSPs of baking powder, and a pinch of kosher salt. And give it a little whisk around. Next up, we're gonna make a spice blend. So combine a couple TSPs of paprika, a couple TSPs of garlic powder, a couple TSPs of oregano. I said a couple TSPs of oregano. A couple TSPs of oregano, there we go. We're also going to add a little MSG for good measure. Or if you don't want to scare white people, call it flavor enhancer. This stuff is fire, as the kids say. And of course another pinch of salt. Always a pinch of salt. And of course I almost forgot the main seasoning that Kenji said to add, which is a lot of black pepper. Except I also have a lot of white pepper on hand, so I'm going to use some of that too. Next things next, we're going to give it a stir and mix it all together. Then add about 2/3 of it to your dredge mixture. Make sure to whisk that together real good too. After that, we're going to start putting together our brine. So it's going to be 1 cup of buttermilk, 1 whole egg, the remainder of that spice mixture from before, and another pinch of salt. Always a pinch of salt. And give that a good whisk together too. We're gonna thicken our brine a little bit by adding a couple TBSPs of the dredge mixture from before. And now it's time to cut up our chicken. Now this is the time where if I was a professional chef or even a professional YouTuber, I'd show you how to butcher it properly. But because I don't know what I'm doing, what I'm going to show you instead is how to butcher the process of butchering a chicken. I don't know, man. All these other channels make it look so easy, but I don't know if I can't find the bones or don't know where to pop them out the right way. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Like, it all tastes the same in the end, so just have fun with it. I mean, what even is that thing? Is that supposed to look like that? Oh well. There's a lot of fried chicken in last meal requests, so at some point we'll figure this out. Just not today. I was tempted to make you sit through this whole thing because if I had to suffer through it, then so do you. But then I realized you guys have like back buttons and no obligation to watch something that isn't entertaining, so let's just cut to the chase. And there we have it, folks. A perfectly butchered chicken where everything went smoothly. We got a couple of breast pieces there. There's another breast piece and another one. Good job showing the camera, stupid. Here's a wing, and another wing. Got a thigh and a drumstick, which I forgot to separate, so I should probably do that. Again, they make it look so easy, but finding a bone, you know, it's harder than it looks. Ah, and again, there we have it, a perfectly butchered chicken. Again, what is this thing? I'm just gonna cut it off. There's something about it that bothers me. Much better. Let's just get that skin back on there. And there we have it, a perfectly butchered chicken where nothing went wrong. You got a thigh, and a drumstick, and another drumstick, and a wing, and another wing, and what even is that? Another breast, another breast, another breast. Anyway, moving on, it's brine time. So we'll take each of these chicken pieces and dip it in the brine, make sure it's nice and well encoded, and then we're gonna put each one in a freezer bag. Now, if that seemed like a lot of work, don't worry, because in just one entire day, we will finally be able to eat it. Take your sealed freezer bag and put it on a rimmed sheet tray or some sort of big plate. Something where, if it leaks in the night, you don't have to worry about chicken juices getting all over your fridge. Speaking of which, put it in the fridge. One day later, it's time to get ready to fry. So take out some sort of frying pot. I'm using a Dutch oven. What's good about a Dutch oven is it's made out of cast iron, so it heats up and retains heat really well, but it's also really deep, so you don't have to worry about it splashing all over the place. For the frying oil, I'm using canola, because that is a kind of oil that exists. Crank that to high, and while it gets up to temperature, we're looking for about 325 degrees, we'll start breading our chicken. Make sure your dredge is in a nice big bowl, or you could use a sheet tray for this, and then one by one take your chicken pieces and kind of drizzle them over the dredge a little bit. That way the drippings are gonna mix with the dredge and create little craggly bits, so it'll be extra good and crispy when it fries. And then one by one, you stick the chicken in the dredge and make sure to really stick it in there so there's no wet spots. Once they're all good and dredged, just lay them out somewhere nearby. So for extra crispy chicken, we're gonna do a double fry here. So we're gonna fry it once at a relatively low temperature, starting at 325, accounting for the fact that as you add the cold chicken, it's gonna reduce the temperature down to about 275, which is what you want. And then regulate the heat so it stays around 275. And we're gonna keep it like this until all the chicken is cooked through and lightly golden brown. And then we're gonna take it out, let it rest, and then fry again. Also, it's a good idea to stick the chicken in the oil most of the way first to allow it to sort of cook a little bit before you drop it down. That way when it hits the bottom, it's already solidified on the outside and it won't stick to the bottom. Also, if you're dropping it, make sure to drop it away from you so you don't, splash oil towards yourself. So we're gonna do about half the chicken at a time, and keep regulating that temperature to make sure it stays around 275-ish. Use a slotted spatula to gently scoop up the pieces from underneath, stir them around a little bit, make sure everybody's getting cooked nicely on all sides, and periodically check the temperature with the thermometer. Again, we're going to cook the chicken all the way through on this first fry. So 165 degrees is what you're looking for. Maybe a bit less since it'll come up a bit as it rests. As each piece comes out, give it a little sprinkle of salt. Ooh, baby, that is starting to look pretty good. It's almost worth what we went through yesterday. Now this is pretty crispy already, but It's hiding a little moist secret. If you let it rest for 20 minutes or so, you're going to find that it's going to start to get a little less crispy as the moisture escapes. That's why we're going to beat it at its own game, allow it to do so, and then hit it with the fryer again. But while it's resting, we'll start with the rice, because for some reason this guy wanted rice as a side dish to fried chicken. It's a bit of an odd choice, but you know, I like rice, so why not? Now you could do it the annoying stovetop way, or you could spend $15 on a rice cooker, which makes it way easier and simpler. If you make plain white rice more than once a week, I highly recommend a rice cooker. Now, should you wash your rice before you cook it? I don't know. Adam Ragusia did a video on that, and the answer was inconclusive. But I guess washing it couldn't hurt, so why not? So they say the amount of water you should have to rice is about, it should rise up past the rice by about 1 knuckle length. I like to do a little bit less. I prefer rice closer to the al dente side than the mushy side, but the choice is yours. When it's done, it'll just pop back up to the keep warm setting automatically. And then you just open the lid and stir it around. Try to get it all over your counter while you're at it. Maybe add a bit of butter, pinch of salt. Always a pinch of salt. And that's about it for the rice. Alrighty, now that our oil is heating up again, we're going to check the temperature. This time you want it a little hotter than before. We're around 350-ish. And this time it's only going to take a few minutes. Just enough to get hot and crispy on the outside, warmed all the way through. You don't want to get it too dark, otherwise it'll start to taste bitter. Oh yeah, that's looking good now. As the pieces finish, scoop them out with your slotted spatula and put them in a bowl lined with paper towel. That'll help absorb some of the excess oil. And there we have it. Fried chicken and rice. Thanks again to J. Kenji Lopez Alt for the recipe. This is a pretty darn good last meal. Like I said, the rice is an odd choice as a side dish. Maybe it's a cultural thing. I'd prefer maybe a little coleslaw, perhaps a biscuit, maybe some french fries. But you definitely can't go wrong with fried chicken. I'd give this 6.5 out of 10.